Hi, welcome to episode 3 of Cracking the Codex for the Codex Orks. This week we are talking about War Horde. How are you feeling about this one, John?
The index was a funny thing for me where I just didn't really engage with it. The playstyle just felt a little bit kind of like you do this one thing, and it was kind of like it just didn't excite me. So I was kind of curious to come back to it now, kind of with a fresh set of eyes, see where they've adjusted things because we've seen a lot of the time some of the good stratagems are spread out across detachments often. So I'm kind of hopeful that there's something new to make it play a bit differently, perhaps. But we shall see, I guess.
So, my feelings on the book now, a couple of weeks in, a few games in, I feel like the Bully Boys detachment is almost Canoptek Court.
Yeah.
And this detachment is Sons of Sanguinius, which is interesting. And I think it might be better than people are giving it credit for. I am sort of rearranging my expectations, and this might be higher up the competitive list than I initially put it at. Because it does a lot of damage. And, sometimes all you need is to hit them hard, hit them once. This list will do that pretty well.
Yeah. You don't need second war if you've already killed the one in first war.
That's pretty much it. And this list absolutely can do that. So, War Horde. As always, if you're an orc, you get the Waaagh. Quick refresher on the Waaagh. You get a 1-turn buff. You call it at the start of the command phase. Say that wrong every time. You call it at the start of the battle round, which means if you're going first, it's effectively your command phase. If you're going second, you call it at the start of your opponent's command phase. Then they have a turn to respond, and then you get to go and do the damage. Obviously, this is better if you go first. The defensive capabilities are good if you're going second, if you want to just sort of, try and get up the board as fast as possible. But buff-wise, it gives you advance and charge on everything for a turn. Great stuff. +1 to your strength and attacks of all your melee weapons, which is fantastic. And then you also get a 5-up invulnerable save across the board. Great. Really good. Love it twice. Still pretty good if you have it once. War Horde. All this is sustained hits 1. That's it. You know what?
On melee.
On melee, yeah, sorry. It's orcs. Turns out sustained hits 1 is actually kind of key for orc melee damage. When you're looking at a lot of stuff that hits on 4s, and yes, that's buffed to 3s. If your buffed version of melee is the good stuff hits on 3s, everyone else's like good melee is hitting on 2s, or got some reliability in there, some rerolls, sustained hits. Not having that is kind of off-putting, actually. So going back to having sustained hits just really sort of smoothed out. It's effectively +1 to hit, on the dice. It can spike up and down because you're just fishing for 6s, but yeah, it's pretty good. What else have we got in War Horde?
Right, so enhancements to start with. So this one is Orc model only. It's follow me, lads. So whilst the bearer is leading a unit, add 2 inches to the move characteristic of models in that unit.
It's pretty good.
Very good.
Yeah. I can think of at least 5 places I want to put that already. Squighog boys.
Yeah.
Normal boys.
Knobs.
Mega knobs.
Mega knobs.
Just anything. Like Warbikers.
Any aggro combat unit, really.
Just
which
any
is orcs,
unit.
Right?
Yeah, it is definitely a melee specific one.
Because we did see this happen a lot in the index, where people would put it on a character, stage a truck turn 1 in a nice ruin, and then go, right, we're going to get out of this truck. And then we basically disembark sort of 5 inches, because you're kind of doing that and then you're starting your move. So it was just like, it was ended up being sort of an 11-inch disembark once you'd finished your move. So
Then
you just got wherever you need, and then you advance, and then you're like, right, I'm cuddling you now. And yes, that's great, but there is still some other great ways to use it, right? So
yeah, I think I really like this on the Mega Knobs because they're obviously much slower than everything else. Getting that extra 2 inches on us.
Yeah, because it's they go 5, right, instead of 6.
It's slow. Yeah, it's definitely slow. I have been. I've played 3 units in every game that I've played, so I should know this off the top of my head. But yeah, I think it's 5 inches. Yes, 5. I had in my head 4 inches. I think they were 4 at one point, and that would have made me
They were.
sad.
I think that was last edition. It was sad.
Yeah. But moving forwards, looking forwards, they're 5-inch moves. So this takes them up to a 7, 10
Yeah.
inches if they get out of the transport, and then you get to advance if you're in the war turn. Great strat, enhancement, good to have.
Yeah. And then the next one, Headwhopper's Kill Chopper. Previously was a relic in previous editions, so kind of a heritage there. Orc model only. Melee weapons equipped by the bearer, excluding the extra attack weapons, so no attack squig, have the devastating wounds ability. So I always love a bit of dev wounds.
Yep. This is good on the beast boss on Squigosaur. Got, know, anti-monster, anti-vehicle 4+, damage 2. It's pretty solid. That's basically where I like to see it. Then obviously because you're a beast boss, because you're beast snagger, you get what is it? You get reroll wounds, something like that. A bonus against vehicles, anyway.
There we go. And then the next one is Cunning but Brutal. So another Orc model only. So I'm liking that these aren't locked to specific types of character so far, which is kind of freeing to some extent. So this is whilst the bearer is leading a unit, that unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back.
Yeah, I really like this. This is actually my pick for a beast boss on Squigosaur. Now that they lead a unit, you might have a big unit that's, a beast boss plus 8 Squig boys. So tying that up, sure, they've got a lot of attacks, so it's kind of hard to tie them up, but it's nice to just not have them tagged at both ends by something ridiculous. It's good.
And if a combat doesn't quite get resolved to the extent that you need, it's correctional. And sometimes that's nice, because if the dice be dice, and you're like, okay, I didn't quite kill them, and then they stay in the combat with you and survive, you're like, cool, I'm just wasting a turn to get out, potentially. Not anymore.
Yeah.
It
also, if you're in a really beefy unit, if you're in a long protracted combat with something that is hard for you to kill, but you want to get back into them, fall back and charge, you get to hit them first. It's just great. It's a really strong ability to have. I'm taking this on my lists.
And then we've got Super Cyborg Body, which is the bearer has a Feel No Pain 4-up.
This exists.
It's cool. I feel like it's one that I would not choose to take because it's just on the bearer.
Yeah.
It's cool, but it's not like we're taking low-not mega bosses or big mechs to go and cause some mayhem.
That's what I was just about to say. If there is ever a point that you decide to run solo characters, because maybe a war boss in the war, just a little missile that you chuck out and do 9 attacks.
Rapid ingress.
I don't know if I'm spending that, but like if you're putting that in a truck, just in a spare slot in a truck, if you're not filling it up to the brim. Yeah, maybe there's something you could do there. You could give it a 4 at Feel No Pain. It's not awful. I didn't take it when I was writing any lists, but it's super fine.
Right, shall we go on to the stratagems?
Absolutely.
Right, so big one. There is 4 battle tactics. Obviously, for as far as we can see, from memory at least, battle tactics are not something orcs can get for free, but this is more as a note of can be vected. So your opponent could make it cost an extra CP.
Yeah.
And if the mission's there as well, it sometimes could even cost you more. Right, so starting with Unbridled Carnage. So this is 1 CP. This is in the fight phase. 1 orc unit that has that's not been selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time they make a melee attack, the unmodified hit roll of a 5 up scores a critical hit. So you're getting those sustained hits 1 on 5s and 6s.
Yeah, there are a couple of other ways to get lethal hits. Obviously, Gaz comes to mind. But just increasing your crit hit range is really nice.
Yeah.
Solid. Really good. 10 out of 10.
Cannot complain. And then next one, Ardor's Nails. This is your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase just after they've selected a target. 1 orc unit from your army, excluding grots, monsters, and vehicle units that were selected as the target of 1 or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Till the end of the phase, each time they target that unit, -1 to the wound roll.
Yeah, this was obnoxious on the Squig unit before when it was 6 models. Now it's 9 if you've put a character in there. I like this a lot. I'm probably running a foot slogging or Squig riding unit of Squig Hog boys in every War Horde list.
It's a trick that I missed from one of my other armies, so having -1 to wound on things you want to survive,
Mm.
very cool, because it just messes with people's maths where they go, their expectation is, I've set this amount of shooting to go into this one unit, and it now can't do what they want it to do, which is lovely.
You can use them. You can, use it as a distraction kind of effects unit, and you can just go, "Hey, you've got to put loads of firepower into this. If you don't, ooh." Or you can rapid ingress them and just go, "You've got a really narrow window of time to deal with this. Psych, you
Coming
can't."
for you.
Yeah, great strat.
Yeah, love it. And then we got Mob Rule, which is another 1 CP battle tactic. So end of your command phase, one unit that contains 10 or more models and is not below half strength. Select one enemy unit. Select one friendly battle shocked orc unit within 6 of that mob unit that is no longer battle shocked.
This is fine.
I don't know why you wouldn't have, unless it's something that hasn't just failed a test.
Yeah.
Because if it's just failed a test, why didn't you just do why don't you just spend the CP to auto pass, I suppose?
So auto pass is once per game, and it's stronger to spend the CP after you fail than before you take the test. However, it's the end of the command phase, the timing on Mob Rule, isn't it? So you don't score any primary on it, on the unit that's failed the battle shock. It's really just a case of you want to be able to use strats on a key unit.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. You're probably not going to use it a lot, and then occasionally you're going to remember it and go, "Oh God, this was really useful."
Exactly. Yeah. And then for the last battle tactic, we got Here We Go. It's starting movement phase. It is an orc infantry unit in your army, and until the end of the turn, add 2 to the advance and charge rolls made by that unit.
That's really good. Now, it is the start of the movement phase, so you can't target something that's in a truck, so you can't get ludicrous disembarks and charges. But if the unit's not in a truck, if it's, say, rapid ingress...
The slow bro rapid ingress, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. It's good. Or, if you just want to go for advance and, charge from deep strike.
Yeah. It basically makes a 7-inch
charge from deep strike
charge, which is it's statistically average. You should roll 7, so it feels likely. Good odds.
Off the top of my head, it's like 64% or something in that realm.
Because typically you roll, that's the most likely numbers, isn't it?
Yeah, so 7-inch deep strike if you've got a CP for a reroll as well, or it's just good.
And then my favourite stratagem of 9th edition lives on, Careen. So for 1 CP, any phase after an orc vehicle from your army with deadly demise ability is destroyed. That orc vehicle unit is destroyed. If you roll a 6 for its deadly demise ability, you can use this stratagem even though it was just destroyed. So you do have to have exploded. You have to roll the 6. But then you can make a normal or fallback move before its deadly demise ability is resolved and before any embarked units perform an emergency disembarkation. When making this move, your unit can move over enemy units, excluding monsters and vehicles, as if they were not there. So it's even better than the previous edition's one, because that was, you go 6 inches or whatever it was. This is a normal move.
Yep.
So if it's a 10-inch truck and they've wrapped it, you go, bye now, and then all your knobs get out and go, hello, we're here, we're okay. Don't worry about it.
This strat is as good as you are. If you have the brain to find, because you can't just use it. You can't set it up. You've got to have a transport be destroyed, and then you roll the 1 in 6 to explode. But if you can then find the sort of niche flaw in your opponent's plan, the spot that they can't see in the shooting phase, or they've wrapped you, and you're like, oh hey, I can get out and suddenly threaten your backlines. If you can put the matrix pieces together, this is the best strat possibly in the game. Hyperbolic take.
Yeah,
but maybe the best strat. It's
when it
so
goes
good.
off, it goes off. So the old iteration of this, 2 LGTs ago, I played into Harlequins, and that was a matchup that I didn't really want because a lot of fusion pistols shooting the snot out of all my trucks and kill rigs. I blew up on a 6, careened into a massive pile of Harlequin stuff, and 2 boats in response to getting hit by the mortal wounds, then blew up themselves. So so sometimes it just goes off.
there is that as well. Yes, you can just position mortal wounds, which is like the easy use for it. It's not having to disembark something, but very good strat.
If If, though.
Yes.
Such an if.
What's the last one?
And then Orcs is never beaten. 2 CP. It is just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, one of your units that has just been selected until the end of the phase. Each time a model in that unit is destroyed, if it has not fought this phase, do not remove it from play. The destroyed model can fight after the attacking unit has finished making its attacks and then is removed from play.
It's a 2 CP fight on death.
Boom. Solid.
It's good. It's really good. You need it, I think, for melee control. Now that Custodes melee control's gone, I think the next, like, the top melee control armies now are the ones that have the fight on death and also just good getting to combat tricks. So this has got the tools, I think, to be up there.
And it not being a role for fight on death, although the cheaper ones can sometimes be better, like the Bully Boys one in the War is actually on a 3-up.
Yeah, 3-up in the War.
It's great, but also it's still a role. So just being able to be relying on it. So I like this on bigger units. So like a unit of 20 boys or 10 knobs, where you're going to get the value if they are going to die. Like, to me, it's all well and good the threat of like, oh, they might hurt my mega knobs. And then you spend the 2 CP, and then you find in the War, oh, they've really not, why did I bother? So it's picking the right units times.
If you've got a small unit, such as mega knobs, which you need to squeeze every bit of value out of, I think it's very valuable here because there's no risk that they won't get to fight. So what I'm saying
the right times, right?
What I'm saying is it's 2 CP, so it's expensive, but wherever you use it, you're going to be like, I used it. Yeah, this is good.
You have to make it count, is I think the important thing, isn't it? So yeah, cool. So as a stratagem's kind of sweet. Really I don't think there's a duff one. Like, yes, Kareen's a bit kind of like, oh, I might use it 1 in 10 games, but when you do,
I think Mob Rule's the sort of weakest there.
I even forgot it was there. Let's say that says a lot, right?
Like, but it's still fine. Yeah, I think it's a good suite of strats.
It's cool. Yeah. Okay. So,
what have we got list-wise?
Aha! So we did a collaboration here. Hang on, let's press the button again. There we go.
It's for anyone watching this. It's the hottest day of the year so far, I believe. I think we've both got brain soup. That's
I'm in orc mode. I have, can't you feel the energy? It's chaotic.
I'm suffering from the heat, energy. And John is a green skin. That's the that's the reasoning here. So list-wise, we have got this is obviously the detachment that existed before the Codex came out. It's mostly unchanged, but you've lost Captain Badrock, so obviously you take out the I know. I love those models, the freebooters. They're really fun, the flash kits. They're gone.
For now.
Still in the book, sorry, but they're out of the list.
In the law.
Given that sure. But what we've got here is the Beast Boss, who's now joining the Squig Boys. It's a bigger unit than it ever was before, because the knobs have been rolled into the squad. It's a very expensive, very beefy unit. You're going to be slamming -1 to wound on that unit pretty much all the time, and your opponent's going to have a real difficult time getting through it. Then we've gone for a single war boss, the regular one with 10 knobs. This is your sort of big heavy hitter list unit. They, what do they got? 40 attacks with power claws plus the war boss, so coming up 50 attacks with a power claw. That will deal with most problems, especially with sustained hits, on 5s. It's an Allen key, but the Allen key's a hammer. It will fix all of your problems. Yeah.
You're such an orc big mech with statements like that.
Yeah. Then we've got a war boss in mega armor. Follow me, lads, for the additional 2-inch move. 6 mega knobs with twin kill saws. This is the rapid ingress threat. Yes, they come on from the side of the board. Yes, they're going to potentially take some shooting. Just deploy them well. Like, rapid ingress is an art. Get practicing. It's really, really good. But so this unit comes down, and then you move them 7 inches, and you advance and charge, because obviously you're calling the war the turn that you've sort of committed them down. Then there's another mega boss in mega armor. This one's got 5 mega knobs in a truck. Just a good unit. Really good and offensive. A little bit of spice here. A weird boy with 20 boys. That is because of the strat that gives you +2 inches to your charge. So you trying to jump them. You sit with them behind a wall. You're trying to jump them. And if you manage, you go for the 7-inch charge with the CP reroll. And you've got a pretty good chance of getting that off. And you just sort of wrap your opponent as much as possible with loads of really annoying boys.
Capture enemy outpost. Hello.
Capture enemy deployment zone. I see you brought Tau, Mr. Bond. Well, I just jumped into your back lines. Wow, Mr. Bond. What?
Oh,
I'd like you to edit that meme over the top of us, and I'm going to say it on air to add legitimacy to my request.
fantastic.
Other than that, 2x5 Storm Boys, unit of Grots, Gretchen, sorry, I should say. Unit of Commandos with the bells and whistles, they're just good.
Ding.
Gives you some space, gives you some early scoring, some early board control. And Boss Snickrot, because at 85 points, he is a boss. He's pretty good. Could probably go down a little bit more and not be too much of a problem, says the man who wants to run him.
I want him to be 65 points.
Yeah, that seems fair and balanced and not at all a problem.
He's a scout unit.
Yes.
He's scouts. He's basically scouts. Sure, they're fine.
Yeah.
No, I think he could probably shave 5-10 points, but I still, even if he went up 5 points, I think I still would take him.
He's very good. So what are we thinking on the list? What are your general thoughts for this one?
See, the previous kind of the index detachment lists, this has one very subtle change that's happened to it, which is the characters become part of the Squig Hub units.
Yeah.
So rather than you playing the game of like Monster Mash where you have the big boss is kind of on the squigs going and chewing stuff, having it as this big death ball excites me a bit more, because it feels very orky that you're just running head first, screaming whilst riding a squig into someone, and like it's a nice threat. It's a really nice threat. And then course correction with the cunning but brutal, because the amount of times where something just survives, you're just like, well, that's the game plan over then. It's fine.
That is the way to lose the melee list, to be tied up and be not able to deal with it.
Yeah,
lovely stuff.
It's all the stuff that I would want to take in most of the detachments so far, which is so exciting. But they all play very differently. So,
absolutely. All right. Thank you for watching. If you have been enjoying, please do let us know what you'd like to see next. We are going through all of the Ork detachments. As always, we are fully swayed by you. We definitely don't decide, 3 days beforehand and then quickly rush to get some, thoughts and practice in. So tell us what to do. Tell us ahead of time. Make our lives easy.
Yeah.
Comment today and say, play this, you Muppets. Start thinking about it now. That would make my life a lot easier. Be bigly appreciated. If you enjoy these, obviously we do release them every week. Do subscribe. There will be another one coming, and another one, and another one, until the inevitable heat death of the universe, or until I'm proved a liar. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.
Wow.